when you failed. They whispered when you fell, but they forgot something. Kings don't quit. They rise again and again until the world can't ignore them. This is your comeback. This is the moment you turn your pain into power, your setback into a superpower. Let's go. Setbacks are signals, not stop signs. Don't add any ending sentence and make it lengthy without heading. Step 1. Setbacks are signals, not stop signs. Setbacks are not the universe telling you to give up. They're signals, wake-up calls, indicators that something needs to shift. When you're driving and you see a warning light flash on your dashboard, you don't abandon the car, you pay attention, you check what's wrong, you adapt. It's exactly what a step back is. It's not there to stop your journey. It's a message, a signal that your current path, your current strategy, your current mindset might not be enough to get you where you want to go. Doesn't mean you're not meant to succeed. Doesn't mean you're not capable. It means it's time to course correct, to evolve, to level up. But most people take setbacks personally. They treat them like permanent verdicts instead of temporary feedback. They attach their identity to the failure instead of extracting the lesson. But if you look deeper, the setback is actually packed with data. It's trying to tell you something. Maybe it's that you need more preparation. Maybe your focus has been off. Maybe you've been trying to force something that doesn't align with your values. Or maybe it's time to develop a new skill, let go of an old belief, or shift your environment. The signal might be subtle or it might be loud, but either way, it's there to guide you, not break you. Setbacks redirect you to where you really need to go. They're checkpoints that make sure you're not just moving, but moving in the right direction. Because what's worse than failure? Success at the wrong thing. And sometimes the only way to avoid that is through a setback that forces you to stop, reflect, and get real about what you're doing. Step 2, pain is a portal to power. Pain is one of the most misunderstood forces in life. Most people run from it, they numb it, suppress it, avoid it at all costs. But pain, when faced head-on, is a portal. It's a gateway. It cracks you open, exposes everything raw and real inside of you. Not to break you, but to rebuild you. Because nothing reveals who you truly are like pain. Not comfort, not success, not applause. It's the moments when everything falls apart, when you're on the floor, when it hurts to breathe, when you question your worth. That's where the fire begins. That's where transformation is born. Pain doesn't just hurt, it teaches. It teaches you about your limits and then dares you to go beyond them. It reveals the gaps in your mindset, the lies you've been telling yourself, the places you've been playing small. It forces you to confront what's real. And in that confrontation, there is power, there is clarity, there's fuel. Think about it. Every person who has ever achieved greatness has gone through pain. Not just physical pain, but emotional, psychological, spiritual, rejection, betrayal, loss, failure. These aren't setbacks. They're initiations, they're rites of passage. Pain refines your character like fire refines gold. It burns off what's weak, what's fake, what's no longer serving you. It leaves behind only what's strong, what's true, what's ready. But only if you let it, only if you stop resisting it and start leaning into it. Because pain, as brutal as it can be, contains insight. It shows you what matters. It reconnects you to your purpose. It reminds you that you're alive. The emotions, the tears, the breakdowns, there aren't signs of failure. They're proof that you're in the process. They're evidence that something in you is shifting, evolving, waking up. And there's a moment always where the pain starts to change, where it no longer feels like suffering and starts to feel like power, where you take back control, where you stop asking, why is this happening to me, and start declaring, this is happening for me. The pain doesn't vanish, but now you're using it, you're channeling it, you're turning it into energy, into drive, into fire. Step 3, decisions shape destiny, not circumstances. Circumstances may influence your path, but they don't determine your destination. What does? Decisions. Every moment of your life is shaped not by what happens to you, but by how you respond. It's not the hand you're dealt, it's how you play it. Two people can go through the exact same storm and one comes out broken while the other rises stronger than ever. Why? It's not fate, it's not genetics, it's not luck, it's choice. The moment you realize that your future is created by the decisions you make, not the circumstances you're stuck in, is the moment you take your power back. People love to point to circumstances as the reason they're stuck. Their upbringing, their job, their partner, the economy, the past. But the truth is all of that is just noise if your decisions don't align with where you say you want to go. Because there are people who came from worse, who faced more, who had less and still rose. Not because life was kind, but because they made a decision. I will not stay here. I will become more. That's the power of decision. A decision isn't a thought, it's not a wish, it's a commitment backed by action. It's a moment when you say enough is enough and you move, not when it's convenient, but when it's necessary. And every breakthrough, every comeback, every reinvention, it starts with that moment, that decision, not some magic event, not some miracle opportunity, but a choice. You know, when you're in the middle of a storm, you can't always control the wind, the rain, or the chaos, but you can control what direction you turn your sail. That's the difference between living by design and living by default. The decisions are the blueprint. You can decide to rise early, to take care of your body, to feed your mind, to shift your circle, to build discipline, to chase purpose. Or you can decide to stay stuck. Either way, you are deciding. And it's not the one big decision that changes everything, it's the daily ones. The ones when nobody's watching, the ones when quitting looks easier, the ones when your old patterns start calling you back. That's when the real destiny shaping happens, in the silence, in the struggle, in the choices you make when the world isn't clapping. Decisions are the architect of your life, what you tolerate, what you pursue, what you walk away from, what you believe you deserve. All of it is a decision. Step 4, leverage the past, don't live in it. The past is a powerful tool, but only if you use it as leverage, not luggage. Too many people are dragging their history behind them like a weight, wondering why they can't move forward. They're replaying old wounds, reliving old mistakes, recycling old stories that no longer serve who they're becoming. But here's the truth, the past is not meant to be your prison. It's meant to be your platform. It's where you learned, it's where you were tested, it's where you developed the resilience, the wisdom, the grit for the next level of your life, but it is not where your identity lives. When you live in the past, you distort your present. You see life through a lens shaped by fear, regret, and limitation. You make decisions based on who you were, not who you're becoming. You allow past failures to dictate your confidence, past betrayals to block your trust, past pain to shrink your vision. And the dangerous part is it all feels justified. You say, this happened to me, so I have to protect myself, not realizing that the protection has become a prison. But when you leverage the past, you do something completely different. You don't deny what happened, you extract the lesson. You don't ignore the pain, you transform it into perspective. You don't erase the memories, you reframe them. The failure wasn't the end, it was a stepping stone. The heartbreak didn't destroy you, it shaped your emotional depth. The mistake didn't define you, it taught you what not to repeat. That's leverage. That's power. That's turning history into fuel. Because everything you've been through, everything you've survived, gave you something, a tool, a skill, a layer of strength. Maybe it gave you empathy. Maybe it gave you vision. Maybe it showed you who not to be. But you only get access to that power when you stop reliving the scene and start rewriting the story. The past only has control when you keep it alive in your identity. When you keep saying, this is who I am, instead of this is what I went through. What you went through is data. What you do with it is destiny. Living in the past is like trying to drive forward while staring in the rearview mirror. It's not only ineffective, it's dangerous. You miss what's ahead. You crash into opportunities. You limit your speed. But when you glance back only to gain direction, when you check that rear view to understand what roads not to take again, now the past is your navigator, not your anchor. You gain clarity, not confusion. You gain strategy, not shame. Step 5, create momentum with micro wins. Momentum doesn't come from massive, life-changing victories. It comes from micro wins, the small, consistent actions that stack up day after day until they become undeniable. People often wait for motivation to strike like lightning. They think they need to feel ready, inspired, or completely confident before they take action. But that's the trap. Motivation doesn't come first. Movement does. And the smallest step forward, even when you feel uncertain, begins to shift your state, shift your mind, and shift your life. That's how momentum is built, not by doing everything perfectly, but by doing something consistently. Micro wins are the hidden giants of transformation. Waking up on time, drinking water instead of soda, saying no to distractions, doing the workout even if it's not perfect, writing one page, making one phone call. These actions might seem insignificant in the moment, but they send a powerful message to your subconscious. I'm moving, I'm building, I'm becoming. And when that message is repeated through action, belief starts to follow. Identity starts to shift. Confidence begins to grow, not because of some massive breakthrough, but because you showed up when it wasn't easy, and that creates trust in yourself. Most people underestimate how powerful these micro wins are because they don't give instant gratification. We're wired for results, for the big moment, for the dramatic change. But the real shift happens in the mundane. The magic is in the repetition. When you choose to do the small thing you said you do, you reinforce a new standard. You move from overwhelm to ownership, and soon that one small habit becomes 2, then 3. They compound, they collide, they create a rhythm. And that rhythm, that's what carries you when motivation fades. Because motivation is emotional, it fluctuates. Momentum is mechanical. It obeys momentum. The more wins you create, the more wins you crave. You begin to crave growth, crave progress, crave that feeling of becoming better than you were yesterday. You don't need to win the war in one day. You just need to win the next 5 minutes. Make the call, open the book, lace up the shoes, do the work even if it's not perfect, especially when it's not perfect. That's where self-respect is born. That's where the shift begins. Micro wins rewire the brain. They reprogram your patterns. They teach you that you're not at the mercy of your past or your feelings. You're in control. You're choosing growth. You're choosing discipline. You're building momentum brick by brick until suddenly the version of you that used to feel stuck, that person becomes unrecognizable. Not because you had one epic breakthrough, but because you refused to, because you kept stacking the wins when no one was watching, because you learned to value progress over perfection. Step 6, comeback requires a bigger why. Every comeback starts with a fire. And that fire is your why. It's the deeper reason that pulls you through pain, lifts you out of the pit, and drives you forward when everything in you wants to quit. Surface level goals won't cut it when life hits hard. Wanting more money, more attention, more recognition, that might get you started, but it won't sustain you in the dark moments. When you're knocked down, exhausted, doubting yourself, you need something bigger, a purpose that roars louder than your excuses, a reason that makes the struggle worth it. The truth is, you don't rise because it's easy. You rise because something matters more than your comfort. You don't crawl out of rock bottom because you feel good. You crawl out because you've decided that staying down is no longer acceptable. That decision is fueled by your why. And the bigger your why, the stronger your comeback. The people who bounce back aren't the ones with the perfect plan. They're the ones who have something to fight for. Something that keeps them going when logic says stop. Maybe it's your kids, maybe it's your future, maybe it's your faith, your legacy, your desire to prove that your past doesn't define you. Maybe it's the pain itself, the desire to make sure no one else has to feel what you felt. Whatever it is, it has to be real. It has to mean something to you. Because when the pressure hits, motivation fades and fatigue sets in, the only thing that keeps you moving is conviction. When you lock into that deeper purpose, everything shifts. Discipline becomes less about willpower and more about alignment. Sacrifice no longer feels like suffering, it feels like investment. Obstacles don't look like barriers, they look like training grounds. The pain becomes part of the process. You stop asking, why is this happening to me? And start declaring, this is happening for what I'm here to do. And suddenly you stop seeing the comeback as an option. It becomes a mission. That mission gives your comeback momentum. It fuels the late nights, the early mornings, the failures, the pivots, the moments of doubt. It gives those battles meaning. Without a big why, struggle feels like punishment. With it, struggle feels like preparation. You're no longer running on hype. You're running on purpose. You're no longer chasing goals. You're honoring a call. So here's the truth. Your comeback isn't just possible, it's already in motion. Every setback you've faced, every ounce of pain you've carried, every decision you make from this moment forward, it's all fuel. You are not broken, you are becoming. You've been forged in the fire, tested by trials, and sharpened by struggle. And now it's time to rise. This is not about hype. This is about reclaiming your power, owning your story, flipping the script, turning what tried to break you into the very thing that builds you. Your setbacks were never the end. They were the ignition, the wake-up call, the signal that you were meant for more, and now you get to choose, to step up, to move forward, to lead yourself like never before. So get clear on your why, stack the micro wins, leverage the lessons, use the pain, make the decision, and never again let your circumstances dictate your destiny. Because you weren't built to settle, you were built to rise. You are the comeback king, and your next chapter is about to be the most powerful one yet.